I think by the time this video comes out, who knows? Maybe other parts of the U.S., Tesla robotaxi will expand because they are expanding fast,
Yeah.
and they are expanding so much far ahead of Waymo that they spent I would say maybe a decade for having that geofence area, and then here comes Tesla's one day taking more area than Waymo
Yeah.
on day one, which is crazy. I
Yeah. I mean,
mean,
there's some clear differences
yeah.
in terms of in the Bay Area. They're actually there's supervised drivers at the wheel, right? There's
Mhm.
literally someone at the wheel, whereas in Austin, there's an observer who sits in the passenger seat. The reason that's being done in the Bay Area is largely compliant with the autonomous driving kind of sequences of events that occur.
Right.
Waymo did that too in the early days. You could take a
Yeah.
Waymo ride in San Francisco, but there was a driver in the car, and then suddenly there wasn't. It's more
I
of a
think it's
function of
yeah.
California's rules than Tesla's constraints.
I think it's 55,000 miles, and then after that,
Yeah,
something like that.
there's some
Y-
door you have to go through, and then
Yeah.
you can. And I applaud them for doing this because it's super. Here's the thing. I think they are definitely going slow to go fast. They
Mhm.
are, they are very limited in what they're doing in Austin on purpose. It's not just pure limitation. It's their concern for safety. Obviously, that one part of safety is if you f up, the world knows about it instantly. I mean, it will be broadcast instantly. But they also care
Hopefully
about that. I mean,
Tesla.
yeah, exactly. Tesla's held to a different standard, and we'll just say they are, and who cares, they are. But I think just philosophically, internally, safety is super important to them. I don't think they're playing around. They're not shooting from the hip. That's not what's going on. So in Austin, they're kind of really dialed in. And I wrote this article, FSD, the magic of FSD, part 6,
Yeah.
Robotech. I encourage people to read it because it kind of digs into what's going on in the ground in Austin and how they're validating the driving and so forth, which they've been doing in the Bay Area for quite some time. I mean, if
Yeah.
up in their hood, headquarters or research is done on Deer Creek Road in Palo Alto. By the way, Deer Creek Road is where Steve Jobs founded Next Computer.
Mm.
Yeah, before he went back to Apple. And I've seen the so-called validation vehicles running around that neighborhood constantly. I mean, I could go up there, probably see a couple of them today. So people see these things in Austin. They're like, oh my God, what's going on in Austin? But they've been doing that here for quite some time. But I think that what's happening in Austin is exactly how they want it to go. They want to be very focused and dialed into the Austin roadway landscape, get it right there, and then expand it. So I am seeing the signal that they are building a great degree of confidence in the technical achievement of FSD. I'm not saying they've completely checked the box on the technical, but they're darn close internally. Now, people might differ with me, but that's a Wall Street view. It's the analysts in the Wall Street still ascribe an extreme amount of technical risk to the project. Fair, let them do it, because they won't see that relief until they see the safety observers or drivers be removed from the car, until the geofences start expanding. But what I'm seeing out of Tesla is that they're moving phases. They're moving from a pure technical phase. By the way, this isn't the same number of people. Like, the engineers are still focused on their task, and they'll be focused on that task until AI6 chip comes out or more, right?
Mm.
But there's a whole operational side that's occurring now. In other words, they're becoming a rideshare network, and that means that they've got to hire people to monitor from an operations center the vehicles in the field, deal with their geofence expansion on the non-technical basis, like what city are they going to, what area are they going to cover, what the rates are going to be, how they're going to deal with customer issues. I mean, remember, like, you get these situations like with Waymo where the car isn't going exactly where it's supposed to and it gets stuck somewhere, and the customers have to interact with customer support and beg them to unlock the vehicle and let them out, because they don't want to let them out on a highway, but at the same time, the people feel trapped in the vehicle. those are operational issues, right? And Tesla is going to have all those operational issues. It's not like they're free and clear of that. So I think Tesla internally is moving from more of a phase of technical risk to operational risk. That includes regulatory compliance, like how you get cleared. Like look at California. There's an example of operational risk. They don't have the right to drive these cars yet without drivers in the driver's seat supervising. So we're going to see, we're going to see all that. And I think the thing for the viewer to pay attention to is literally forget about what's happening at the moment and just look ahead a year and think about where they might be. What you can do in your brain is you can say, if you're a pessimist, you can assume a very straight line, that the scale goes slow, that they have issues, they have problems, they keep it scaled back. If you're an optimist, you might see the scale like kind of an S curve, right? But I think if you really kind of get down to what's going on is you're going to see more of the S curve thing going on here because it's the natural act. You see them, hyper focus on what's going on. You see a lot of linear thinking from analyst Wall Street community, but then that's not how Tesla's approaching the problem. And clearly Tesla, we all know Elon. We know that he's not a go slow guy. He's not sitting back thinking, oh, I want to go super slow to make this thing called a robot. He's basically wanting to conquer every city as quickly as possible, bounded by how much can you do at what speed. So I would say the adoption, if you go back, if we project out a year, we're clearly going to be operating in 6 plus 9, 12 cities without, anybody in no Tesla employee in the car at all. I fully expect that Cybercab will probably in that period debut as the vehicle will start. Like right now it's very Model Y and that's a great vehicle for it, but eventually Cybercab is really tuned in for the operational cost efficiency that that'll make this thing. The point is this, once you can scale, it's like a button. They can hit that button, say, let's scale. And what are you held back by? Are you held back by the technical risk, operational risk? There's a point where you kind of check both of those boxes, and then you're just held back by your ability to deliver cars into the market. That's why on a parallel track, you've got Lars and team building the hell out of Cybercab in the Sunbox process to try to get that process oiled well from a manufacturing point of view, and then pop out Cybercabs at an unbelievable rate at the back end of the factory, right? And then if you've hit that scale button and then you're producing those things at 500 a day, you can enter 500. I know, right? It's kind of crazy to think about it, but really, I think whether you're an investor or an enthusiast or just technology enthusiast, you really kind of project out. You always got to kind of apply these S curves to technology adoption or Moore's law to the more physical technical aspects, and just say to yourself, what do I think this is going to look like in a year from now? What does it look like in 5 years from now? And if you do that, you're either super enthused about it or you can't make the argument in your own brain that it's going to be much different. I think in my brain it's going to be a takeover business, right? I think it's just going to take over rideshare and probably dimensionally change how we move about.